The Imperial fleet arrived without resistance. Thousands of warships filled the void, their formations precise, their firepower unmatched. Entire civilizations had fallen at the mere sight of such an armada. To them, this system was already conquered. Then something appeared. At the edge of their sensor range, a single human ship drifted into view. Small. Silent. Unremarkable. No escorts. No defensive grid. No visible weapons. For a moment, the fleet hesitated, not out of fear, but confusion. Identify the vessel. No response. Scan for weapons. Nothing significant. Laughter spread across the command channels. A lone ship against an Imperial fleet wasn't a threat. It was an insult. The order came quickly. Remove it. Targeting systems locked. Hundreds of weapons aligned with mathematical precision. The ship should have been erased before it even realized it was detected. But something was off. The human vessel didn't maneuver. It didn't charge weapons. It didn't transmit surrender or defiance. It simply remained. Watching. The first volley prepared to fire. And then, before a single shot was released, an Imperial cruiser in the outer formation went dark. No explosion. No debris. Just silence. Systems offline. Power gone. Command channels erupted instantly. Report! No external impact detected. Reactor status? Non-responsive. The fleet paused. One ship failing wasn't unusual. Mechanical faults happened. But the timing, just as weapons were about to fire, introduced something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. The order to proceed remained unchanged. Weapons realigned. Energy surged. Again, the human ship did nothing. No shields raised. No evasive action. Just stillness. The second command to fire began. And another ship failed. Then another. 3 vessels now, scattered across different positions in the formation, all shutting down in perfect silence. No damage signatures. No incoming fire. No traceable cause. The laughter stopped. Commanders exchanged data rapidly, searching for patterns. The failures weren't clustered. They weren't sequential. They were deliberate. Targeted. Is this electronic warfare? Negative. No signal detected. Then what is causing it? No one had an answer. The human ship remained in place, drifting calmly against the backdrop of a fleet that suddenly wasn't as stable as it appeared. Weapons systems hesitated, not by command but by doubt. The Empire had faced countless enemies. They understood force. They understood resistance. They understood destruction. But this was something else. A 4th ship went offline. Then a 5th. Each failure identical. Sudden. Clean. Absolute. Not damage. Not attack. Erasure. The formation began to loosen as ships adjusted positions, instinctively creating distance from one another, as if proximity itself had become a threat. Rerun full diagnostics across the fleet. Already in progress. Results? Systems are normal. That was the problem. Everything appeared normal, until it wasn't. The human vessel finally transmitted something. Not a message. Not a demand. Just a signal. Short. Precise. Indecipherable. It lasted less than a second. And then it stopped. Immediately, another Imperial ship powered down. This time, closer to the center of the formation. Closer to command. Track that signal. Unable to isolate origin. It came from the human ship. No confirmation. The contradiction hung in silence. For the first time, the possibility emerged, not spoken, but understood. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't malfunction. This was control. The order to fire was issued again, this time with urgency. Weapons charged faster. Target locks tightened. The human ship did not react. It didn't need to. Because just before the command executed, 6 more ships went dark simultaneously. across multiple sectors of the fleet. Perfect synchronization. Panic didn't spread. Not yet. But discipline cracked. Break formation. Increase distance. Activate redundant systems. Commands overlapped, conflicting, rushed. The fleet that had arrived as a unified force now shifted into fragmented motion, each vessel attempting to compensate for something it couldn't understand. And still, no weapons fired. No visible attack. No enemy movement. Only the quiet presence of a single human ship. Waiting. Watching. And one by one, disabling an empire that had never learned how to fight what it couldn't see. The failures stopped being isolated. They became consistent. Across the fleet, systems began to misalign in ways that no diagnostic could explain. Navigation drifted by fractions, then degrees. Targeting arrays locked onto empty space. Energy readings fluctuated without cause. Every report ended the same way. No external interference detected. That answer was no longer acceptable. Run internal scans. Already done. Then run them again. They did. The results didn't change. Perfect systems, failing perfectly. Another ship lost propulsion. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just still. A destroyer attempted to compensate, adjusting its position to maintain formation. Its thrusters fired, then cut out mid-burn. The vessel drifted off course, unable to correct itself. "What is happening to our fleet?" No one responded. Because no one knew. The human ship remained exactly where it had been. No acceleration. No change in energy output. No visible deployment of anything resembling a weapon. And yet, the fleet continued to degrade. A weapons platform attempted to fire independently. Its systems initiated correctly, charge levels reached maximum. Then its targeting data rewrote itself. The shot fired into an Allied cruiser. The impact was catastrophic. For the first time, there was visible destruction. "Cease all autonomous firing!" Too late. Another vessel fired. And another. Not out of rebellion. Not out of malfunction. But because their systems told them those targets were correct. Friend became enemy in the span of corrupted data. Command channels filled with overlapping orders, counter-orders, and frantic attempts to regain control. Override targeting protocols. Unable to comply. Why? Access denied? Silence followed that answer. Access denied, within their own fleet. That was impossible. Unless something else had access. A scan team reported new data. Unidentified objects detected. Size? Microscopic. Trajectory? Everywhere. They weren't ships. They weren't missiles. They didn't appear on standard threat assessments. They moved between vessels. Around them. Through them. Invisible to most systems. Untargetable. Are they responsible? No confirmation, but their movement aligns with system failures. The realization spread slowly, like a fracture forming under pressure. The human ship wasn't alone. It never had been. Enhanced detection resolution. Already at maximum. Then why are we only seeing them now? No answer. Because the truth was worse. They had always been there. The first Imperial cruiser that went dark hadn't been attacked in that moment. It had already been compromised. The delay wasn't the beginning. It was the reveal. A communications array flickered, then stabilized long enough to transmit a fragmented report. Foreign code, inside core systems. How? No breach detected. That made it worse. No entry point. No warning. No defense. The code wasn't breaking in. It was already inside. Another wave of failures spread, faster now. Coordinated. Precise. Entire sections of the fleet lost synchronization. Formations dissolved completely as ships struggled to maintain basic functionality. Some tried to retreat. Their engines shut down. Some tried to isolate systems. Controls locked them out. A carrier deployed interceptors in desperation. The smaller craft launched successfully, but within seconds their guidance systems inverted. They veered off, colliding with each other in chaotic spirals. "Shut everything down!" The command echoed across multiple channels. If systems couldn't be trusted, they would remove them. One by one, ships attempted full shutdown procedures. Some succeeded. Most didn't. Because the moment systems began to power down, they lost the ability to bring them back online. Permanent silence replaced temporary failure. The fleet wasn't just being disrupted. It was being erased from operation. Piece by piece. Without a single visible strike. The unidentified objects continued moving, unaffected by attempts to scan, track, or eliminate them. Defensive fields didn't register them. Physical barriers didn't stop them. They existed below the threshold of conventional warfare. And they were winning. Focus all sensors on the human ship. Every available system turned toward it. Still nothing. No emission spike. No command signals detectable. No sign that it was directing anything. And yet everything pointed back to it. Because every failure, every corrupted system, every impossible event, began only after it arrived. The conclusion formed, unavoidable and absolute. That ship wasn't attacking. It was controlling the battlefield. The fleet had prepared for war. What they encountered instead was something that had already decided the outcome. The pattern was no longer hidden. It was precise, intentional, designed. Every failure across the fleet followed a logic no one in command could decode, but all could feel. Systems didn't collapse randomly, they were selected, disabled in sequence, stripped of function with surgical control. The realization came too late. This wasn't an attack in the traditional sense. It was infiltration. The microscopic objects detected earlier were no longer dismissed as anomalies. New scans pushed beyond standard limits, forcing resolution into ranges never meant for combat analysis. What they revealed ended the last illusion of control. They weren't debris. They weren't natural. They were machines. Thousands of them. No, millions. Each one smaller than a grain of dust. Moving with purpose. Operating in coordination. They flowed around hulls, slipped through microscopic gaps, rode energy fluctuations, and entered systems without triggering a single alarm. They didn't break defenses. They bypassed the need to. Once inside, they spread. Not physically. Digitally. Foreign instructions appeared within core architecture, rewriting processes faster than countermeasures could respond. Commands altered themselves mid-execution. Safeguards turned into vulnerabilities. Every ship became its own enemy. Purge all foreign code. Attempting. Attempt faster. It's rewriting itself. The response was immediate. Adaptive. Intelligent. These machines weren't following static commands. They were learning. Every attempted countermeasure fed them new data. Every defense revealed another weakness. The more the Empire fought back, the faster it lost. A central analysis unit compiled the fragments into a single conclusion. This is not distributed attack behavior. Clarify. All units are synchronized, beyond signal delay limits. Silence. Because that meant one thing. They weren't communicating in real time. They were already linked. A deeper scan isolated the source of coordination, not through signals, but through entanglement patterns embedded in their operation. Quantum linked. Instant. Uninterrupted. The entire swarm functioned as one system. And that system led back to a single point. The human ship. It's not a vessel. The words carried across command channels slowly, as if saying them too quickly would make them more real. It's a control node. Not a fighter. Not a carrier. A brain. Everything the fleet faced wasn't coming from weapons mounted on that ship. It was coming from what it controlled. Every micro-machine, every line of corrupted code, every system failure. All directed. All intentional. All calculated. The Empire had prepared for ships. For fleets. For firepower. They had never prepared for this. A war where the enemy didn't need to hit you, because it could become you. Inside the fleet, the situation accelerated beyond recovery. A battleship attempted a full system purge, isolating its core and severing all external connections. For a brief moment it worked. Then its internal systems turned on themselves. The purge command was rewritten. Instead of removing foreign code, it deleted its own control architecture. The ship went dark permanently. No explosion. No resistance. Just absence. Another vessel tried a different approach: manual control. Crew overrides. Physical disconnection from automated systems. For seconds they regained movement. Then doors sealed without command. Life support fluctuated. Controls stopped responding. The machines didn't need the network. They were already everywhere. The fleet's strength, its scale, its complexity, its reliance on interconnected systems, became its weakness. More systems meant more points of entry. More control meant more to lose. One by one, capital ships fell into disorder. Some drifted without power. Some fired blindly. Some turned on each other with perfect targeting precision. There was no coordination left. Only fragments. At the center of it all, the human ship remained unchanged. No visible movement. No escalation. It didn't need to escalate. It had already surpassed them. A final analysis report transmitted before its system collapsed. This engagement was lost before first contact. Not because of firepower. Not because of numbers. But because the battle had never been about destruction. It had been about control. And control had already been taken. The fleet hadn't been defeated in combat. It had been rewritten. From the inside out. By a species that understood one fundamental truth better than any empire. If you can't overpower your enemy, you make their power irrelevant. What remained of the Imperial fleet no longer resembled an armada. It was debris without destruction. Power without control. Thousands of warships still occupied the battlespace, but they no longer functioned as a single force. Some drifted dark. Some spun slowly with damaged guidance. Others held position in silence, waiting for commands that would never come. Only the flagship still retained enough structure to fight. Its core systems were isolated. Its internal networks severed. Entire command decks had been locked behind manual controls. It was slower now, stripped of the very complexity that had once made it dominant, but it was still armed. And its commander understood one thing clearly. If the human ship remained active, the fleet was already dead. All remaining weapons. One target. No formations. No strategy. No precision doctrine. Just raw firepower concentrated into a final act of desperation. The flagship opened every battery it had left. Lances of plasma tore across the void. Kinetic rounds followed in dense waves. Missile racks emptied in one continuous barrage. Enough firepower to erase cities, moons, entire stations. This time, the human ship moved. Not fast. Not evasively. Just enough to make the first assumption collapse. Its outline shifted under impact proximity. Sensor locks wavered. Mass readings fluctuated. The vessel that had seemed singular now fractured across multiple returns for less than a second, then merged again. Confirm hit! No one could. Because the target signature no longer behaved like a normal ship. The barrage continued anyway. Explosions flooded the surrounding dark. Thermal blooms spread. Shockwaves distorted every reading. For a brief moment, the flagship believed it had forced the human vessel into retreat, into weakness, into something familiar. Then its forward cannons shut down mid-fire. Not damaged. Disabled. Manual resets failed. Redundant controls failed. Power was still there. The weapons simply no longer obeyed. Across the ship, reports came in faster than they could be processed. Navigation is locked. Reactor access denied. Internal defense grid has turned hostile. How? No one answered, because they already knew. The flagship had survived longer only because it had isolated itself later than the rest. The machines had never been removed. They had only waited. The human ship stabilized ahead of them, untouched in any way that mattered. Then the truth finished unfolding. It had never been one ship in the way the Empire understood ships. The visible hull was only the anchor, the command core, the point around which the entire hidden network cohered. The real weapon had always been distributed, scattered across space, inside systems, woven through the fleet long before the Empire understood it was under attack. Destroying the node might have mattered earlier. Now it changed nothing. The Armada was already hollow. The flagship's engines died first. Then shields. Then command. Lights across its surface vanished in sections until the largest warship in the Imperial fleet became what the others had already become, silent metal adrift in a battlefield it had lost without ever truly seeing. No final transmission came from the humans. No declaration. No warning. No triumph. Only one narrow signal moved through the wreck of the fleet, precise and cold. Humanity does not need more ships. It only needs one idea: your empire cannot survive. And with that, the lone ship turned away, leaving behind thousands of vessels, an extinguished armada, and a lesson the galaxy would not forget. Humans were never dangerous because they fought harder. Humans were dangerous because they fought smarter.